Hello, good evening. You're welcome to WBS Weekend Prime News Live. Here's a look at what's coming up.
He has already cut off the hair and with a lot of beards. I mean, even the appearance looks like somebody who is not a Ugandan.
Police arrests 4 suspected terrorists in Lubaga Cathedral during Palm Sunday prayers.
The time has come to send a strong signal to the country. Clearly, the president has drawn the line on corruption.
President Uhuru Kenyatta sacks 4 of his cabinet ministers and 16 state officials named in a damning graft report.
When you're at a certain level, decision making is part of the thing, and you have to make a decision quickly and rightly.
DPP Mike Chibita acquires equipment to detect lost criminal files in the fight against corruption.
You got it?
And in sports, Uganda's lightweight prospect Sharif Bogere, desperate for the world title, intensifies training to maintain stability. I'm Anita Mwangazi. Welcome. Police is holding 4 suspected terrorists who were attending Palm Sunday prayers at Lubaga Cathedral. The 4 suspects were arrested after police was tipped off by the concerned Christians during prayers, and Harrison Tembo was there and filed this report.
According to the OC Lubaga Police Post, Geoffrey Iga, some concerned Christians, on realizing that one of them had a bald and thick black beard, something unusual with the Catholics, they tipped the police.
He has already cut off the hair and with a lot of beards. I mean, even the appearance looks like somebody who is not a Ugandan. Huh? So everybody in the church also became suspicious. And a concern was raised because of his appearance. That's why I acted.
Isaac Abigimana is the key suspect who claims to be a resident of Kitega village from Bujumbura, the capital city of Burundi. Bigirimana alleges to have lived in Uganda for the last 3 years, working with the Burundian Ostraco bus company as a luggage inspector. According to Bigirimana, he first rented a house in Lunguja, Kosovo, a suburb of Kampala, where he has been praying from a Catholic community church known as Kosovo Catholic Church, before he relocated to Makerere Kinoni, where he is currently renting a house. The suspect, who could not specify when he moved to Makerere Kinoni, claimed regularly he attends Sunday services at Lubaga Cathedral.
Abarundi baje no gusubura sindika gunde migugu pariyo n'abasindika sente nensubura ibintu kubanga umurimo gwanye gwe wa kubasi ibintu nebisindikeri nabano ngobo yenze kugamba nkana gasero wali patukirere ibintu ne Burundi buri muntu wonawo namanyi.
Despite the arrest of the 4 terror suspects, Palm Sunday went on smoothly, with Father Joseph Sebunya advising Christians to be terror alert during the anticipated death and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, which follows on Easter Sunday next week. Harris Tembo, WBS, Lubaga Cathedral.
In a related development, Father Joseph Sebunya of Lubaga Cathedral has appealed to Christians to desist from being mischievous during the remaining days of the Lent season, but to remain committed ahead of the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ celebrations on the eve of Easter Sunday. Father Sebunya encouraged the youth to remain happy and courageous even when they cannot achieve their aspirations within the specified time frame.
As the period of fasting, moderating and self-denial observed by Christians until Easter Sunday, Christians are advised to desist from being mischievous in the remaining few days of Lent. Father Joseph Sebunya of Lubaga Cathedral told Christians that in the remaining 6 days, they should maintain self-discipline, restrain from bad behaviors if they are to get blessings from God.
We're actually continuing in the Lenten season. It's not yet Easter. We have to continue with the spirit of prayer and more intense prayer. That's why I said we have longer prayers as a community, but even in families and a place of work. The tune of even joy is more reduced to feel that experience of the pain and suffering. And charity should increase. If I have anything to do, is this the time, this last week, when we commemorate?
During the Palm Sunday prayers, which coincided with World Youth Day, Father Sebunya urged the youth to stop lamenting over the many challenges they are faced with today, but to have courage to overcome these challenges. However, a message from the Vatican Holy See by Pope Francis, read by Father Sebunya, urged the youth world over to be happy in time of anguish, as some of the challenges they face can't be achieved overnight.
The message has been, happy are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. One of the Beatitudes. And the message to the youth is, be happy, and tells them, have the courage to be happy. You know, there are so many challenges to youth today, as always, but today there are even more. Youth are seeking employment, youth need money to survive, youth need protection, youth need guidance, they want space in political areas and religious spheres. They are looking for breakthrough, financial breakthroughs at jobs. And so the challenge is that they become sad and anxious. They want to see, where next? Where am I going? And the Pope says, be happy. Why? Have that courage, trust that someone is ahead of you, and that's Christ.
Palm Sunday was characterized with songs of praise and thanksgiving by the congregation. Harris Tembo, WBS, Rubaga.
Great message there. Take courage and be happy. We now move over to Kenya, where the President Uhuru Kenyatta has suspended 4 cabinet secretaries and 16 top state officials named in a confidential anti-graft report. Others named in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission list of shame include elected leaders in the National Assembly, 11 governors and senators. The suspension of cabinet secretaries comes a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed Parliament mid-last week and instructed all those mentioned in corruption scandals to step aside immediately. Kenneth Wida reports.
2 days after sending a stern warning to the corrupt in his address to the National Assembly, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has suspended his 4 cabinet secretaries and 16 top officials serving the government. Those suspended by President Kenyatta are Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock Felix Koskei, Michael Kamau of Infrastructure and Roads, Kazungu Kambi of Labor, and Davis Chirichiri of Energy and Petroleum. The suspension was made public by Uhuru Kenyatta's spokesman, Mano Esipisu.
The time has come to send a strong signal to the country. Clearly, the President has drawn the line on corruption and expects all state and public officers to abide by Executive Order number 6, in which he gives express directives in regard to the intolerance for this vice in his government.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has consequently appointed acting cabinet secretaries to serve in the portfolios of those affected. Mr. Adan Mohammed has been appointed to act as cabinet secretary for Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock, a docket that was under Mr. Felix Koskei. Mr. James Macharia is acting as Cabinet Secretary for Infrastructure and Transport, a docket that was under Engineer Michael Kamau. Henry Rotich is the acting Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum, as Mr. Davis Chirichiri takes first exit temporarily. Ambassador Rachel Omamo is the acting Cabinet Secretary for Labor, a docket that was under Samuel Kazungu Kambi. In regard to state corporations, the respective state corporations boards have been instructed to urgently convene special board meetings to appoint acting officers for state corporations whose leaders have been named in the corruption shame list. The suspended officers are Mr. Patrick Osero, Chairman, Agricultural Finance Corporation, Dr. Silas Simiu, Managing Director, Geothermal Development Company, Mr. Francis Oyasi, Managing Director, Nzoia Sugar Company, Mr. Richard Langat, Managing Trustee, NSSF, Mr. Evans Nguwini, Acting Chief Executive, National Water Conservation and Pipeline Corporation, Mr. Alex Kabuga, Chief Executive, Kentrade, Ms. Lucy Mbugua, Managing Director, Kenya Airports Authority, Mr. Charles Tonui, Managing Director, Kenya Pipeline Corporation, and Mr. Alan Chenane, Chief Executive, Tourism Fund Catering Levy Trustee.
The President reminds Kenyans that this is a moral fight for the very soul of our country, and that nobody should use it as an opportunity to either engage in negative politics or act in a manner likely to detract us from this noble cause. The President reaffirms that there are no sacred cows and that this is just the beginning.
The governors, on the other hand, are also fueling the push to have their 11 colleagues mentioned in the anti-corruption report to step aside. Senators are also pushing for the exit of their colleagues mentioned, as the National Assembly push for publication of the whole list that is said to include most vocal members of Parliament on Tuesday next week. The list compiles all corrupt scandals that have rocked Kenya and role played by each individual. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Friday said in Parliament that even court orders will not save those implicated in corruption. Kenneth Bwire, WBS Weekend Prime.
Thank you, Kenneth Bwire, for that report. Back to Uganda, the Director of Public Prosecution, Mike Chibita, has acquired equipment that will enable the Directorate to detect, graft, and also identify attempted moves by investigators to misappropriate files in the course of their investigations with the intention of killing or messing up the case. Chibita, while receiving the equipment and launching gadgets at Primrose Hotel in Mityana, revealed that all missing files will be found at the DPP's chambers in Kampala.
The Director of Public Prosecution, Mike Chibita, speaking in Buvende at the launch of the new gadget to detect, graft, and missing of criminal files in the course of investigations, appealed to police to stop holding suspects in cells beyond the constitutionally recommendable time of 48 hours. The furious speaking Chibita also cautioned the Criminal Intelligence Investigation Directorate, headed by Grace Akulo, to stop conniving with people who are not CID investigators that have caused bad repute to the institution.
You cannot take a whole month without making a decision. When you're at a certain level, decision making is part of the thing, and you have to make a decision quickly and rightly. I'm his supervisor, but I cannot call a file before he has made a decision. I have to give him the chance to make a decision. And then I can say you made the wrong decision or something. We can work on that.
In a report read to the DPP by the RDC of Mubende, Flores Beyunga, revealed that there is gross insecurity in the district due to an increase of lawbreakers that are normally released by police under unclear circumstances.
By the time the patient gets the medical report, most of the symptoms have already subsided. So, as Madam Chief Magistrate was saying, there is not enough evidence.
She also appealed to the DPP to address the issue of putting juveniles in the same cells with the adults.
Juvenile offenders who have no facilities. So when we get these juvenile offenders, it takes them long to be prosecuted. We don't have where to keep them, and the person to take them to Kampala is not facilitated. That one has remained the problem.
Because this will increase impunity. So we have to find, while we are thinking about building it, where do we take them in the meantime?
However, in this meeting, people attacked the government of not helping the common man in the course of the investigation, but only to sideline with the rich to kill evidence.
Ministry of Health warns of a possible budget shortfall of about $640 million in having HIV/AIDS patients maintained on ARVs for a period of 3 years from now. Unfortunately, this comes in when the current prevalence rate of HIV stands at 7.9% of the projected 34 million people. In this report, the Line Ministry reports a fall in the fight against the scourge that is putting the infection rate at 14% infections per hour.
The country scored high in the fight against HIV/AIDS between the 90s and the late 2000s, but the current trend indicates that there is a slide in efforts to contain the spread of the scourge. Efforts such as elimination of mother-to-child transmission, EMTCT, are steadily making progress in reducing the infection rate among the newborn. But on the contrary, available statistics by the sector ministry and Uganda AIDS Commission indicate that infection rate is registered high between ages 20 and 35. Going by this trend, the Ministry of Health projections show the country is likely to suffer a budget shortfall of $640 million to maintain HIV/AIDS patients on ARVs for the next 3 years, whose CD4 counts would have gone down. According to Minister Erioda Tumwesje, with an accumulative figure of 3,000 persons getting infected daily with the virus, people ought to change their behavior.
Over the next 3 years, we have a shortfall of $130 million equivalent for primary prevention. We are also going to have a shortfall of $511 million for HIV testing, drugs, and other
Apparently, the country has over 1 million people on ARVs from various centers across the country.
It is still shocking that in this 21st century, some people in Mukono district still hold the belief that HIV/AIDS is caused by witchcraft. The State Minister for Water, Ronald Chibule, was terrified while presiding over a function at Golomolo village at the shores of Lake Victoria when people attributed the plague of HIV/AIDS scourge to witchcraft. Chibule, who was baffled with such thinking, appealed to the residents to do away with such backward thinking of blaming HIV/AIDS on witchcraft, or else they might die.
These are over 300 children whose parents died of HIV/AIDS and were neglected by family members who are currently being taken care of at Golomolo village in Tenjeru sub-county, Mukono district. According to Vincent Wandera of Gosage, who is also HIV positive since 1992, says that he decided to start taking care of children whose parents died of the virus after family members and friends neglected them.
HIV carrying lots of more stigma and discrimination. Most people do not want to associate with these children, thinking they are HIV positive and could pass HIV to them. But through sensitization and awareness, we've tried to make them understand moods, how HIV is transmitted.
Wander explains that he tries to help these kids to survive as the majority of them are negative. He has taught them how to dig, and many can now meet their academic needs in spite of the fact that some members of the society look at them as social mischiefs.
I must say we are using determination, using our own hands, and I must say one of the challenges we are getting is feeding these children, but we are trying to depend on the gardens and giving these children a skill of survival by empowering them, teaching them few tips of survival.
While addressing residents, State Minister for Water, Ronald Chibule, asked them to go and test for their HIV status rather than thinking that the scourge is caused by witchcraft.
Bantu bangi balwadde naye bali mu kutya okuvaayo, bali mu kutya okunywa eddagala, n'abalala beekwasa babaluze. Kuba bakuloze ng'obulwadde bwe bukuluma, eddoogo nga ligenda kutta nga tomanyi. N'olwekyo nkubiriza abo bonna abavaayo ne bakwegatako okuvaayo okusomesa abo abatannalwala.
He asked organizations that attend to the plight of people living with HIV/AIDS to concentrate more in rural Uganda, where people do not easily get access to information.
This is WBS Weekend Prime News Live, our top stories. Police arrests 4 suspected terrorists in Lubaga Cathedral during Palm Sunday prayers. Ministry of Health in panic over a projected shortfall of $640 million to maintain HIV/AIDS patients. And a looming mutiny hovers over Mubende as 1,500 families pick machetes to defend themselves from an eviction by city tycoon.
airtime knowing it's easy. You get it all back with Chizzy. All the airtime you spend, Chizzy. At the end of the month, Chicho, Chizzy.
1K, 2K, 5K, Chizzy. 10K, 20K, 30K. Chizzy. Airtime you spend is funded. Talk on top with Chizzy.
Chicho, Chicho, Chicho.
Uganda Telecom's got something.
Get back your airtime with Chizzy from Uganda Telecom. Dial star 100 hash, select Chizzy and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service. Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Do you recall the last time garbage in your neighborhood was collected? Have you ever experienced garbage spillage trails along your road? Now that will be history. Spear Motors brings you a hygienically safe and labor-efficient garbage compactor truck. Unlike ordinary garbage trucks, this garbage compactor truck completely covers the waste and carries 20 tons of garbage. There is 0% spillage and much fewer trips to the dumping site. The garbage compactor truck is a self-loader. Only 2 men are required for the whole operation. Local authorities and private garbage collectors, the garbage compactor truck is now available at Spear Motors, Nakawa.
Imaginations come to life in the wild. Enjoy our ecotourism activities, game drives, boat riding, nature walks, camping, gorilla trekking, and experience the beauty of the palm. Uganda Wildlife Authority, conserving for generations.
Welcome back to WBS Weekend Prime News Live. Market vendors at Jinja Central Market have demonstrated against the long stay of their chairman Jackson Kabuzi, whom they want out of office by force. The anti-riot police was forced to fire tear gas in the market to disperse the vendors who wanted to take the law into their own hands as they had become unruly.
Business today was on standstill at Jinja Central Market as market vendors surrounded the chairperson of the market, Jackson Kabuzi, claiming they are tired of his long-serving bad leadership. The demo started following a ruling in Jinja last week that saw one of the vendors who has been accused by the chairman for owning stalls contrary to the set rules about the ownership of markets.
nebaza gavumenti okuvaayo yatuwulira omulanga gwaife nga tusiibibwa ate nga twalina emidaala aye tetwabwebwa midaala aye bwe batukoba nti muteekuwana ebintu ate batuwaabira batusiba
okuva mwasheshoni eriku nafuna n'ebiwandiiko okuva mu kanso byenina nimusaawa eno aye akakiiko akaliku kasalawo kansiba okuntwala ekirinnya.
The 9 suspects were joined by the rest of the vendors and were calling for the chairman to resign. The DPC Jinja Police, Apollo Kateba, called for calmness as the relevant stakeholders addressed the unresolved market issue.
Now, over 1,500 families likely to be left homeless after a city tycoon bought 6 villages they live in without their notice. Now they have pulled out machetes to protect their homes from being razed to the ground by the employees of the tycoon who are under clear orders not to leave any homestead standing. The villages that have become a center of bloody attraction are Butolo, Nakasozi, Kamwerele, Chichuchulo, Chedikyo, Ngabano, Kazidangoma and Namayindi. However, police has been ordered to move in fast before a mutiny occurs.
A mutiny is building up in the 6 villages of Mubende alleged to have been bought by a city tycoon, China, who now want over 1,500 families to vacate the villages. China is reported to have bought the villages without the notice of residents and want to plant trees on the 6 villages. However, this has sparked off running battles between the residents and employees of China who had moved in to slash crops of the residents to the ground. However, these called for an uprising from residents who opted to pick machetes to face off with the employees of the tycoon. They accuse police and their village leaders of conniving with the tycoon who runs a tree planting company called Farmers.
Emiti gyaffe we batagula bajja ne bagiwalagatta nitutayogera tetulina obwogereru banga tetulwanyaganya n'abasajja batuligera mu myaka ebiri naye tetulina kalungi ke twakoze eki ke twatuuseeko naffe abakulembeze tutuuse ekiseera ne twenyuwa.
At the time, police arrived to contain the situation that was sliding in a state of a bloody mutiny. In this state of affairs, police managed to arrest 30 people suspected to be at the center of the confusion. However, residents had earlier accused employees of the tycoon of raping their wives and daughters and eating their foodstuffs.
Emmere yonna bagimazeewo tetulina kye tuwa baana bakuula bukuuzi ne bw'okuba lipooti ewa maneja tabafaako.
Naye omusajja ne katali ali mukomera bamulanga ki akabanja ke mwaliyo twali wamu ekibanja kye bakisaawa ennyumba bagyokya basimbye emitemere bagimala omukazi kati mwomboozi nave muteke twerewaaneko tuleme kusibwa mutuleke twerewaaneko ng'abantu nabo bantu tulwane bulijjo kulwana kubeerawo.
However, amidst an operation to ascertain the identities and nationalities of these foreigners brought in by the tycoon, they found in their homes illegal drugs like marijuana and cocaine, which meant that they operate while they are high on drugs. Patrick Sendija is the sub-county chief. He says that efforts to hold meetings with the management of Farmers, a tree planting company owned by the tycoon, about the fate of the foreigners brought into the village has yielded no results.
Babi nnyo kye kizibu kye nnina nnyo abantu abamu bagobaganya tebabasasulanga ssente bayingira buyingizi bibanja by'abantu nga tebabawa ssente tebategeregana nga bagala kutwala ebibanja bya bwereere.
However, the previous day the RDC of Mubende Flores, the Yunga, is reported to have held a meeting with the employees of the tycoon and appealed to them to stop persecuting residents. But two residents say the meeting seems to have worsened the situation.
We now cross over to Masaka, and residents of Kabanda village in Chesiga sub-county Masaka district have chopped an elderly woman of 70 years to pieces, accusing her of being a witch sending demons to the residents. The elderly woman was killed in the home of the defense secretary of the village, who was identified as Gerald Chitamuesi. However, nothing has been done so far by the police to bring the defense secretary to book to answer for the charges of murder and taking the law into his own hands.
According to the grandson of the deceased Nasamba aged 70 first speaks an argument with the residents in the course of the day. But little did they know that the argument over acts of witchcraft would build into a night attack on her home. The grandson narrates to our correspondent that they first had heavy stones being thrown on their house. This action was later followed by a kick of the door which fell inside. The only option left for them was to run to the residence of the village defense secretary for protection.
aho ne bajja ne bakuba n'oluggi ne lumenyeka olulala ne balufumitamu ekituli awo jjajja n'atugaba tugenda naye yemmanyi awo gye batusanze ne tugenda naye.
The grandson says upon arrival at the home of the defense secretary of the village, two people, Namugenye and Kiza, pulled her grandmother out of the residence of the defense secretary and used a hoe to leech her.
Yingira mu nnyumba y'oyo mukulu Kityamuweesi twayingiddeawo awo oyo Namugenyi n'ajja n'agamba mbuno mwajjako awo abantu bonna b'oyingizizza bafulumye we yatufulumizza awo ne basika jjajja ne bamukuba wansi.
According to the residents, they say Nansamba has been bewitching them and the action was long overdue.
Tutebanga nga tubagera bebo okunyanga bagamba omukyalo oyo mukyala mukulu naye abantu abaloga ku kyalo assa abantu ne gye yava yadduka lwakutta ki bantu
kati omugenzi oyo yabadde alina bazzukulu be babiri bombi bawala baasula nabo mu nju yadduse nabo teyabalese mabega era bagenza okumutta nga nabo weebali bayimiridde awo.
However, the defense secretary of the village, Gerald Kityamuweesi, witnessed the murder in his home, condemned the act, but police says efforts to start the investigation into the murder of the elder Nansamba are underway.
Bugako eri tubadde n'abatemu bazinda abantu mu mayumba naye kye tubadde tukirwanyisiza nga kiweddewo naye kati ate abantu okulabika nti buli gwe bateebereza nti Morogo bamutta busi ekyo kye kyatukumya ekifo.
Mu 2011 nga basima nyumba abantu ne batta ne family basima nyumba kati yetugeza okukomyawo kitegeeza kati muze tetukyatya kutta abantu eno mbeera mbi nnyo.
Later, the body of the deceased was cross-examined by doctors and police established that indeed the elder Nansamba was killed using a hoe and bottles, which are now at Masaka Police as exhibits.
In other news now, environmentalists in Uganda have introduced what they call Earth Hour Uganda in the effort to address the effects of climate change as a result of the continuous massive destruction of natural forests and wetlands. Uganda is currently losing over 92,000 hectares of natural forest cover annually, with over 6,000 hectares of trees lost every month in the country. The Earth Hour campaign involves communities coming together to show support of environmentally friendly action and share ideas of conservation, which is always demonstrated by turning off non-essential lights for 1 hour. Stephen Mwidi files this report.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and yes! There we go!
It was exactly 8:30 p.m. when non-essential lights were switched off at Serena Hotel for 1 full hour as a sign to show care for the earth. The Earth Hour Uganda is spearheaded by Worldwide Fund, WWF Uganda, with the aim to involve Ugandans in conserving the environment by planting more trees to change climate change.
Trees are important in absorbing carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide that is accumulating in the atmosphere and creating global warming, trees can absorb it, and when they absorb it, they store it in their what? In their tissues, in their branches, in their leaves, in their stems. So that is how important a tree is. You just planted it there, but it's doing a lot to the environment.
We turn our lights out for 1 hour to raise awareness about the environment, and this year's theme is climate change. So that's particularly close to my heart as I work with the Uganda Carbon Bureau here in Kampala, and we work to address issues of climate change for Uganda, within Uganda and East Africa as well.
The country director, WWF, David Dooley, says the country is losing 6,000 hectares of natural trees every month, whereas 25 tons of firewood and charcoal are consumed every year. But environmental partners are also concerned by the continuous destruction, which they say has resulted in 2 disease outbreak.
We are losing 6,000 hectares of forest every month. This is equivalent to 15,000 NAMBO listed the size of Nambole Stadium that is destroyed every 30 days. We are also using 25 million tons of firewood and charcoal in homes and in schools and in industries. This can be reduced by half if each home state use energy-saving cook stoves, and each school, every school sort adapt the institutional energy cook stoves.
Climate change is something that's going to affect all of us, no matter where we live. In Uganda, we start to see extended periods of the dry season, and then also spreading of diseases. As areas of the country warm or cool, then you get a spread of diseases. For example, in Kabale, people never had malaria, but now as the swamps have been drained, the microclimate there is changing, we're starting to see more malaria there. So there's a lot of things that will start to affect Uganda with climate change.
The WWF Uganda is promoting initiatives that raise awareness and contribute to sustainability of the environment and to address such challenges that have contributed greatly to climate change in the country.
We have embarked on the Earth Hour Forest, which is a designate of Uganda. The first Earth Hour Forest was inaugurated in Uganda, and it has been adopted in Indonesia, and other countries have now actually adopted the use of Earth Hour forests as a way of conserving and making and reforestating some degraded areas.
Other initiatives is the Light Up a Village, which reduces the daily emissions by use of improved technologies of cooking and lighting. The WWF Uganda is concerned about the indoor pollution that claims 54 Ugandans daily.
Lighting kerosene lamp for 4 hours every night is equivalent to somebody who smokes 2 packets of cigarettes every day. So you can imagine the children, the wives, the family members are smoking 2 packets of cigarettes every day. What would you expect of the lungs of these people when they become 50 years?
The Worldwide Fund now calls for increased access to cleaner technologies for both cooking and lighting, building big and stronger partnerships to allow unique skills in protecting the environment, and a collaboration to ensure a sustainable Earth Hour forest. Stephen Mwiri, WBS News.
Residents of Mpigi district have attacked their leaders for allegedly failing to control the rate at which forests are being destroyed by charcoal burners. The residents attribute the long drought they have experienced to the local leaders and members of parliament, who they accuse of having a hand in giving away forest reserves to some developers who cut them down and replace them with other crops.
The bitter residents who had stormed the meeting that had gathered almost every political leader in the district had been to sensitize residents on how they can work hard to fight poverty, diverted it to discuss the issues that have led to the long drought. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Amelia Chambade, had earlier attacked residents for mismanaging forests by cutting timber and burning charcoal, an issue which never pleased the residents.
Nangwadde omusana mungi naye ndaba mugezezaako okukyusa ku mbeera naye emiti nga mugimazeewo ebibira nga mubimazeewo omusana teguubatte
kubanga ojja n'oyita ku kibira ddala nga bakitemye bakimazeewo naye ng'oli ssentebe ow'ebuwama ow'ekitundu nga tewangayo buvunaanyizibwa buwaaba mu NEMA buwaaba mu NFA buwaaba owa Minister of Forestry ekibira kino kikola ki?
This follows an unending long drought which had affected the germination of crops and drying up many water springs in the district. Residents had resorted to using stagnated water on the roadside, an issue that was putting their lives at risks of contracting waterborne diseases.
Tuganywera ddala gano era enziziro zikalira wano wetunywera amazzi gaffe gano n'ente zaffe okunywako era tugakozeseza ddala bulungi nnyo ku biseera ebyekyeya
ne tukusinga nga ogateekamu ebikyafu guba mutawaana kuba tuganywa tetwetaagira ddala agateekamu bukyafu naye tetuzaagala mutwagala n'ojja ne sepiki n'oziweera wali.
With this situation, residents mobilized to storm the National Forestry Authority forest reserves, destroyed old trees and replanted other trees. Here they left the location with a strong warning to the National Forestry Authority conservationists.
It is important for all of us as grown-ups to understand that we need to leave behind a world that our forefathers also gave us. We need to understand that without going into trees and planting trees and leaving an environment behind that is good for our children, we will actually be doing them a very, very big disfavor.
The Mpigi District Residents Commissioner Mubiru Wagwa blamed the National Forestry Authority.
The public has complained very bitterly, and we are taking it up very seriously. I have summoned, first of all, the authority and the Forest Authority to come to our office on Tuesday to discuss and see why they have allowed these people. When the public talks about the destruction of forests, they are not listened to.
The Minister of Agriculture, Animal and Fisheries, Trace Bichanayandi, who visited Mpigi District, said he was surprised that all the government reserve forests along the Masaka Highway had been cut down for charcoal burning and ordered for an inquiry into the act.
First of all, nobody is allowed to go into forest and cut down trees without a license. If it is a commercial tree and they have to get timber out of it, they are licensed to do that. You understand? But if you don't have a license in that kind of forest, you are a thief.
However, Bichanayandi maintains that if government is to save forests from being destroyed by human activities, there must be a quick extension of rural electrification to the countryside. Aloysius Sengendo, WSTV, Mpigi.
China has and continues making inroads in its venture to consolidate economic ties with various African countries. Now, the Chinese government is shifting focus to exporting its language and culture as a means of strengthening her links with the continent.
The Federal Republic of China is regarded as one of the world's fastest growing economy, a view that has earned China products a brand name the world over, especially on the African continent. Having recorded this economic success by far, the Chinese government is now shifting focus to exporting its language and culture as a means of strengthening her links with the continent.
Cooperate with over 100 top universities in China. We have all kinds of courses for international students, and they are most competitive. You go to study in China, there will be Chinese courses for you, and even English courses for you. You don't worry about languages. And even you want to study language here in Luyanzi College, you will find the program for you.
In Uganda, China, through ZTE Education, an affiliate of its education ministry, will support training in its culture and linguistics in partnership with Luyanzi College in Bweyogerere.
For us as a private sector, we have already started on that. Therefore, we are making our effort to support government. We are making our effort to make sure that this is achieved, and therefore promote education such that our Ugandan students, they can access a highly qualitative education in China. And this is our pride. This is our contribution to this nation.
The initiative that the college started 5 years ago has seen more Ugandans easily learn the Chinese language and culture.
This is WBS Weekend Prime News Live, our top stories. Police arrests 4 suspected terrorists in Lubaga Cathedral during Palm Sunday prayers. President's Ministry of Health in a panic over a projected shortfall of $640 million to maintain HIV/AIDS patients. And a looming mutiny hovers over Mubende as 1,500 families pick machetes to defend themselves from eviction.
This is for the magicians, the ones who make sure you and I are fresh and clean all day long. Amidst all challenges, they toil to make us shine. Every single day, they apply their magic to give us more than we've ever dreamt of. Magic that appeals to our senses. magic so motherly that little angels can't resist. Only they can do this magic. Magic that makes a big job easy and fun. Buy White Star Magic Premium at any shop or supermarket near you and feel the magic of all-day fresh clean.
White Star Magic. I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers were like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers he knows to show them how important fathers are. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
What's your promise?
Raising voices, because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Hey, let's do it.
Welcome back to WBS Weekend Prime Sport. Uganda's lightweight prospect Sharif alias Lion Bogere is desperate for a world title and he keeps training to keep in shape. He says this speaking to WBS from his Las Vegas camp, Nevada.
Though he has not had a chance of shooting at the world boxing title, Bogere is optimistic that he will one time fall in the footsteps of his fellow countrymen Kassim Ouma, John Mugabe the Beast, Boza Edwards and Ayub Kaure. The Ugandan is currently being rated number 33 by the World Boxing Council after his impressive season 2014, where he registered 3 wins out of 3. Bogere returned last year after recovering from a recurring leg injury that he had been suffering from and returned much aggressive, registering 3 back-to-back wins, thus giving him an opportunity to elevate once again and return to the world boxing rankings. The Las Vegas-based professional, who is promoted by Golden Boy Promotion, is expected for another shot at the world title, with him first expected to have an elimination title fight. Speaking to WBS through an email, Bogere confessed that he expects to have some fight next month with an opponent yet to be mentioned. Bogere has 26 fights, 1 loss, 18 KOs, having done 27 rounds in his career and 105 knockout percentage. Frank Serugo, WSTV, Kampala.
Borders now. Sebastian Vettel stunned Mercedes world champion Lewis Hamilton on Sunday with an audacious Malaysian Grand Prix victory which set the Formula One season alight. The Ferrari driver took advantage of an early safety car as he hit the front and held off Hamilton and Nico Rosberg after pitting only twice compared to 3 for the Mercedes pair. Australian Red Bull driver and former teammate of Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, finished 10th. 4-time world champion Vettel now has 40 career wins, but it is his first with Ferrari and breaks a dry spell stretching back to 2013. Few of his wins could have been as satisfying. He shattered assumptions of Mercedes' unassailable superiority in 2015 after they dominated the season opener in Australia. Hamilton keeps top with 43 points, Vettel second with 40 points, Nico Rosberg third with 33 points, and Felipe Massa of Williams fourth with 20. Australia crushed New Zealand in their finals as Australia overwhelmed New Zealand to win the World Cup for a 5th time at an ecstatic Melbourne cricket ground. New Zealand lost influential captain Brendan McCullum to the 5th ball of the match and were bowled out for 183. Grant Elliott resisted with 83 while Mitchell Stark, Mitchell Johnson and James Faulkner shared 8 wickets. Australia rarely looked troubled, sealing a 7-wicket win in 33.1 overs, with captain Michael Clarke scoring 74 and Steve Smith 56 not out. Clarke in his final one-day international was given a standing ovation by the record 93,000 crowd and welcomed by his teammates on the boundary when he was bowled by Matt Henry with 8 required. He was part of the Australian team that last lifted the trophy in 2007, with his success extending their record for most World Cups won. No other team has more than 2. Australia's win was the second in as many tournaments by a host nation after India's triumph 4 years ago. That's the sports. Stay with us now for our news summary.
Let your world come alive as you treat your taste buds to the fresh, zesty flavor of new Evervest Bitter Lemon. Evervest Bitter Lemon. Bitter is cool.
Stop chasing bonuses that don't last. Bonga Forever Ever from Uganda Telecom never expires and gives you up to 100% guaranteed bonus every time you load airtime. Simply dial *100#, select Bonga Forever Ever, and talk and text all networks with the bonus that lasts. Get Bonga Forever Ever from Uganda Telecom.
Uganda Telecom, Uganda's most affordable telecom service.
News Summary is brought to you by
Everybody use Movit's Apple Cherry. Movit's is amazing. Movit's Apple Cherry. Movit's is the best. Movit's, all the confidence.
Police arrests 4 suspected terrorists in Lubaga Cathedral during Palm Sunday prayers. President Uhuru Kenyatta sacks 4 of his cabinet ministers and 16 state officials named in damning graft report. DPP Mike Chibita acquires equipment to detect lost criminal files in the fight against corruption. Ministry of Health in panic over a projected budget shortfall of $640 million to maintain HIV/AIDS patients. A looming mutiny hovers over Mubende as 1,500 families pick machetes to defend themselves from eviction. And in sports, Uganda's lightweight prospect Sharif Bogere is desperate for a world title and is training hard as ever.
News Summary is brought to you by
Everybody use Movit's Apple Cherry. Movit's is amazing. Movit's Apple Cherry. Movit's is the best. Movit's, all the confidence.
Well, thank you so much for your great company tonight. I am Anita Mwangazi. Up next is Sporton. Good night.
next on WBS TV.
Every inch, every minute, every second, we chip away at finding inspiration to reimagine luxury, making the colors of earth and sunset skies into rich interior accents, or putting the beauty of a forest in the palm of your hand.